What's up, my friends? I hope everybody's doing all right this morning after their Halloween slumber, maybe the tummy aches, things like that. Today's a big day, though, so you're going to have to focus up, get your coffee. It's the touchdown picks video. I've got at least one touchdown for every single game, some long odds plays. And I heard from people in the YouTube comments and in chat and Discord that last Saturday's Week 8 video was potentially the best of the year. There were so many of long odds touchdown picks that cashed last week, and I feel like this is a great week for it again in Week 9. No time to waste, let's go. Today, I'll be using NoVig Sportsbook to go over game by game, starting with the Broncos on the road against the Texans. We've got a 40.5 point total. Those lower totals sometimes can be very difficult to select touchdowns. That being said, some interesting odds in this one because everything is plus 153 or longer. So there's some opportunity to make some money here. Now, with a lot of these touchdown picks for each game, what I do is I select a favorite touchdown play and then a longer odds play, a less probable opportunity, but one where I find value in the line. Those hit more often than the favorites. It's because the touchdown market is volatile. You need to embrace the volatility if you want to make money. So the Broncos will be trying to win their sixth straight game in Houston this week. Texans got a nice little W last week. No Patrick Surtain, so give me the plus 153 for Nico Collins. Somebody has to score for the Texans, and honestly, he's got the most touchdown equity in my opinion. Here's where it gets really difficult for Denver. RJ Harvey has now scored in 3 of the last 5 games. J.K. Dobbins has scored in 50% of the games this season. And then there's Courtland Sutton, who's only scored once in the last 5 games after starting out hot and pretty much picking up where he had left off the last 10 games of 2024. And here's the deal. RJ Harvey, yes, the touchdown, the green last 3 of 5 games looks great on some of those apps, including mine, mySperryEdge.com. But when you start to dig into the data, you actually start to see a 3-to-1 red zone opportunity comparison when we're looking at Dobbins versus Harvey. And that's why Harvey is at plus 344 and Dobbins is at 165. And I'm going to be honest, we've got a running back here who will get the majority of the opportunities in between the 20 and the lion's share of the opportunities inside the red zone. It's a very tough defense, both very good defenses. I don't think there's going to be a lot of points in this one, but I do love that we can get the best player with the highest touchdown equity on both teams for a plus 153 and a plus 165. Courtland Sutton's going to have a tough time with Stingley out there for the Texans. Troy Franklin has scored in 3 of the last 5. Schultz is interesting every once in a while, and so is Evan Ingram. But again, I don't know when I can rely on those guys. They're very sporadic. It happens at random. Matchups are irrelevant. It's just, hey, did they do a play action inside the 5? And were those guys open, dragging across the middle or something? Good luck figuring that out. Give me the 2 best players on both teams at really nice odds. Let's move on. All right, we've got a 48.5 point total. This is actually a lot higher than I thought it would be between the 49ers and the New York Football Giants, who will not have Cam Skattebo. Ugh, gruesome injury. And both teams are quite sporadic and volatile offensively and defensively. So this 48.5 point total is a little bit of a head scratcher, and I actually don't think it's as juicy for player props and touchdown picks as some other games, despite the fact that it has a higher total. 48.5 ain't no joke. But there are some interesting plays. Let's take a look. This might be one of the faster games I cover. CMC at minus 205. I want nothing to do with plays like this. Do you need me to tell you? Honestly, ask yourself, did you come here to be told these players that get 20 plus touches have a good chance of scoring a touchdown? No, and I'm not doing that to you on this video, and I think that's why this video is so popular every single week. So I'm trying to find those diamonds in the rough, or at least identifying better value than those minus 200s. You get enough of those on X and Instagram, these 5-leg minus 180 touchdown parlays. Like, good freaking luck. You ain't going to win those very often, and when you do, you might cover some of your losses from the previous 9 weeks, if you're lucky. But I digress. Tyrone Tracy should get the lion's share of the carries out of the backfield and the opportunities inside the 20. We've seen him at times look pretty decent. Minus 101. That being said, pass. I want some better touchdown equity, and I think George Kittle is probably my favorite. Again, I get a favorite and then a long odds play. Kittle is my favorite in this game based on the odds and the equity in the red zone here. Kittle did score last week. Usually is good for like 6 to 8 per year. One of the best tight ends in the NFL, if you didn't know. Now, this This line, I literally just don't understand. Jackson Dart, I think, has the most touchdown equity on the Giants. So we have 5 starts from Jackson Dart so far. In those 5 starts, he's had 3, 1, 2, 3, and 2 red zone rushes, and he has 4 red zone rushing touchdowns. He's had one in 3 straight games, and they just lost their main red zone option in Cam Scadaboo. But here we are with Jackson Dart, hopefully avoiding another concussion and protecting that necklace from getting ripped off. Ain't nothing wrong with a plus 211 for a running quarterback who has a nose for the end zone. Give me Jackson Dart plus 211. There are other options in this game, but none that are worth mentioning. I think we should just move on. Again, we've got, I think, 9 more day games than 2 primetime games. We're going to talk about the Chiefs and the Bills. Lots of great targets. If you're enjoying the pace of today's video, you're going to love the video I put out on Friday. It's a 40-minute video, but I'm telling you right now, it's 40 minutes because I identified probably 20 decent-looking plays for NFL Sunday, all player props based. Go check that video out. Subscribe here. I'm here 7 days a week, including 9 a.m. Eastern Sunday morning. Ladder bets, touchdown picks, and parlays specifically. And then we do 1 p.m., 4 p.m. primetime parlays, all built live on that Q&A Sunday morning live show at 9 a.m. Got to subscribe. Turn your noties on, my friends, or cell phone alarms. Just hit those. All right, let's look at Colts. On the road against the Steelers, 50.5 point total. I've talked about this quite a bit this week. I like the Colts to win and cover earlier this week at -3. They're just the better team. Now, last week, this is the second time I've called this on my show. I have said to run out a Jonathan Taylor touchdown ladder all the way up to 3+. And lucky me, he hit 3+ rushing touchdowns on those games. I think one of the games, actually, his third was a catch. Might have been last game. Doesn't matter. 3+ touchdowns is 3+ touchdowns. Do I run it back this week? No, but you do get better odds for it. And I do think there's some interesting value in the 2+ touchdowns. The equity there is insane. The amount of red zone rushes this dude has had this season brings me back to my mid-2000s, 2010 range when you had Sean Alexander and LaDainian Tomlinson getting 8 to 10 red zone carries a game, 30 carries total per game, and they had 28, 30, 34 touchdowns. I mean, those were the glory years for running backs. But Jonathan Taylor kind of putting in a season like that right now on his way to the 2025 Offensive Player of the Year award. So when we're looking at these props, I think there's a lot of value there at the plus 195 for 2+ touchdowns out of Jonathan Taylor, just simply due to his touchdown equity and opportunity. Now, of course, we got to make more picks than just JT, and we will. And here's one of them, Tyler Warren, plus 145. Listen, if Jonathan Taylor does not score inside the red zone, it's because Tyler Warren will have caught his 5th touchdown in 6 games. This kid has so much touchdown equity right now. Alternatively, listen, if neither of those guys scored, listen, Colts probably lost. But Jonathan Taylor, Tyler Warren might not be too sad because maybe Daniel Jones is cashing in some tutties for the team and keeping the offense going. He does have 4 rushing touchdowns this season. Bit more sporadic and volatile than I thought it would be after the first 2 games when he had 2 and then 1 in the first 2 games of the year. Since then, he's only had 1 touchdown in the last 6 weeks. And because of that, his odds have ballooned to plus 339 over here on Novig. So if you want that plus 339, I don't think it's too bad of a prop for a little sprinkle. I mean, those are great odds. Heck, we've been paying those for Patrick Mahomes, cashing us out left and right up until Rashee Rice returned. That's when we jumped off because I thought he'd lose a lot of his touchdown equity. We'll talk about the Bills and Chiefs in a little bit. On the Steelers side, I'm going to be honest with you. It's going to be down here where I'm looking at anything. Darnell Washington, plus 359. Anytime you're giving me a plus 360 for a tight end to score a touchdown in an Aaron Rodgers offense, it's interesting. Pratt Freiermuth has 2 touchdowns on the season. Both came in the same game. Jonnu Smith has 2 touchdowns. Again, I don't know what to bet on for the Steelers. I actually do not like any Steelers odds. I don't want to pay a plus 111 for Jalen Warren, not with Kenneth Gainwell. DK Metcalf, just a bit too sporadic for me at plus 144. I mean, essentially the same odds as Tyler Warren. And Tyler Warren on the better offense? That being said, if you're playing anybody on the Steelers side, it has to be DK Metcalf. He has 5 receiving touchdowns in the last 6 games. So I guess sporadic wasn't the right term when I was talking about his touchdown equity. I guess it's more like it just it's reliant upon him making a play or catching a longer touchdown. He's not the guy like Tyler Warren inside the 20. He's potentially the second best bet to score a touchdown behind Jonathan Taylor. I mean, matter of fact, DK Metcalf only has 6 red zone targets on the season. That's only 6 in 7 games. That's my point. Yes, his touchdown equity is there, but again, deep passes, big plays, right? Took I think it was a slant pattern. I can't even remember, a post, something across the middle, and he housed it for 80 yards a few weeks ago. It's like that's what it's taken for DK Metcalf to score touchdowns. I hope that makes sense. Maybe that was more clear. If not, oh well, I fumbled the bag here with my little analysis breakdown. Panthers and the Packers. 44.5-point total, 12.5-point favorites at home for Green Bay. It's going to be a bloodbath here. And what kills me is the odds are horrific for everybody. Tucker Kraft, I do not like that at plus 108. Josh Jacobs, minus 154. I'm just not a fan of this range for odds. I think there's actually a little bit of value in this Emmanuel Wilson line at plus 160. Hear me out. Let me go full screen so you can see my ugly face, my shiny head. Actually, I need to shave my head. Anyways, Emmanuel Wilson, been getting a few more carries lately, and I think a lot of that has to do with Josh Jacobs and his calf. Jacobs has some type of calf issue going on, and you've only seen, I think, 13 and 14 carries in the last 2 games. And if they are winning by 2 touchdowns and covering that spread in the fourth quarter, I think there's a chance where Jacobs gets another series or 2 off, or potentially just doesn't go back in the game. And Emmanuel Wilson has looked decent in his opportunity this year. Now, he's yet to score a touchdown, but again, I was just talking about the more opportunity. Snap rate for Emmanuel Wilson has been 37%, then he has 16, but then went back up to 28 and 40%. And even better, his last game, he had 3 red zone opportunities. He just didn't punch it in. He also had 2 passing targets in the last 4 games inside the red zone. He's getting chances. Matter of fact, he's up to 8 red zone opportunities the last 4 games, just has not scored. That touchdown will come, and I think this is a sneaky value this week. Honestly, other than that, I don't know what the heck to pick. I think maybe there's some value here in Chuba Hubbard at 400. Plus 413 is no joke. And I think Rico Dowdle will take over in between the 20s, no doubt about it this week. But I still think that they're going to try to give Hubbard, an opportunity or 2 to score a touchdown. You saw him score a goal line plunge last week, despite the fact that Rico Dowdle is potentially taking over this week. As the coach has already said, we got to get Dowdle the ball, essentially. And paraphrasing, it's hard to ignore how well he's played, is what they've done. And he also said, we're so thankful for Hubbard and what he's done for the team, right? Like, they respect Hubbard and what he's done for Carolina and how hard he plays and shows up for them. And he might be that guy they try to pay their respects by giving him some touchdown opportunities. But Rico is probably going to start taking some of his snaps. And I think that's what happens this week. Rico Dowdle's yards are interesting, and Hubbard plus 413, my friends. Those are crazy odds for a running back who's shown the propensity to score touchdowns when given the opportunity. Minnesota and Detroit, 48.5-point total. J.J. McCarthy taking over for Minnesota. Carson Wentz is out for the season, as they've just left him out there to get absolutely wrecked, play in and play out. Okay, so every once in a while, I will take lines like this, but I use them in certain ways. And I'll show you. Lions money line, Gibbs to score, minus 153. And I show you this because as much as I fade these, I hate minus 150 odds plays. And I will say, if there were a play out there that you were going to run, this might be it for me. I think the Lions are a lock to beat the Vikings at home in a divisional game with a healthy team who's getting better and better every week versus the team getting worse and worse with J.J. McCarthy under center this week. Good luck to them. And Gibbs continues to score touchdowns. He's taken over the red zone opportunities, essentially taking them almost all away from David Montgomery. And I think we're starting to see what we saw at the end of last year, where it was no longer like a 1A and 1B situation out of the backfield. It was just Gibbs is the RB1 and Montgomery is the RB2. As good as David Montgomery has been with the Lions, Gibbs is probably a top 3 or 4 running back in the NFL. They need him. Now, there are other plays in this game. Amon-Ra St. Brown continues to score. Tough to plug him in there at minus 118 at this point. I think you got to live down here with someone like JMO or Sammy Laporta. I don't know how to quantify this or qualify this, I suppose. I'm not entirely sure what the correct term is either. But JMO at plus 197 is literally just due. This is last season's data, so it's tough to lean on. But he did score in 8 of 16 games last year, and he continued to have those massive 30, 40, 50, 60-yard touchdown catches as a big play wide receiver. And he just is now coming off a game where he had 0 catches, despite the fact that he played 87% of the snaps, only had 2 targets. This might be one of those get right spots. Hey, Jameson Williams, we signed you to a nice, healthy contract. You're one of the higher paid wide receivers in the entire NFL because we know how important your playmaking is for this offense, for opening up our running game. So here are 7 to 8 targets. Here's 2 or 3 deep shots, and here's a red zone opportunity. I think there's an opportunity today, or I guess I should say for Sunday when you're watching, for a plus 197 touchdown from Jameson Williams. He's my favorite long odds play in this game simply for that narrative of, hey, they got to get him going. They need to feed this man if they want the offense to work the way it's supposed to when it comes time for the playoffs. They need that legitimate deep threat. Jameson Williams, he can be that. So plus 187 will be my favorite long odds play in that game. Some of these games are no fun to talk about. Chargers-Titans is going to be one of those. Nobody on the Titans side that I can lean on for the touchdowns. Kamani Vidal, minus 138. Starting to get near that territory where I do not want to touch the touchdown market for a player when we get to those types of odds. That being said, Kamani Vidal is going to get all the opportunities inside the red zone. So we've seen 3 games now with essentially him as the starter, 67% of the snaps, 64%, and then 74%. And in those 3 games, he had 6, 3, and 5 red zone rushing opportunities and 2, 2, and 0 pass catching opportunities inside the 20. 18 opportunities in 3 games. And he's only scored twice. So I don't know how much of a nose for the end zone he really has, but man, the opportunity, the volume is there. And if the Titans offense is wretched like it usually is, and they have 3 and outs, 5 play series, something like that, and maybe a turnover or 2 extra, and the Chargers get the ball an extra 3 or 4 times in this game, that's a lot more possessions, snaps, carries, catches, everything for the offense, at which point Kamani Vidal minus 138. He's borderline being a good play. Now, here's why I think I'm almost just leaning on him and just walking away, because for a while we were getting McConkey plus 180, Allen plus 210. Quentin Johnson's still down there, but he's not been good lately. And now you have Oronde Gadsden, who's had a touchdown in 2 straight games, so many targets. Lad McConkey has scored in 3 of the last 4. Keenan has only scored 1 in the last 5. Quentin Johnson, despite the fact that he's not playing well lately, has still scored in 4 of 7 games. Again, I don't know. I'm literally just throwing darts. How the heck do you figure out who's going to be the guy in this one? I do not freaking know. I go Gadsden. I think that's correct. Plus 159, simply because I like those tight ends and running backs inside the 20-yard line, those big bodies, and he looks like a playmaker. What a 5th-round draft pick steal. All right, got a couple more 1 p.m. games, Atlanta and the Patriots. Then we're going to get to the 4 p.m., the Bills, the Chiefs. And then prime time, Falcons, Patriots, 45.5 point total. Let's go take a quick peek. Michael Penix Jr. returning back in the lineup this week. And I'm going to tell you right now, I freaking love it. So we were 2 weeks ago with Michael Penix Jr. paying a minus 200 for Bijan Robinson to score a touchdown. Now you're giving me Bijan Robinson a 20-plus touchback and one that can literally house the football on any given carry or any given catch. A 4.5 receptions line, 18.5 rush attempts. I can't remember them off the top of my head, and I'm in the zone while I'm talking. A guy with that type of upside and opportunity and that talent, I don't care about the matchup. I don't care about the defense. I don't care about the offense too much. Give me a 20-touch back with elite playmaking skills to score a touchdown at minus 123. This is glorious. It might be my favorite of the week. Other than that, it's pretty difficult to identify who has the next highest touchdown equity in this game. I'm thinking Kayshon Boutte here at plus 222. He scored 4 touchdowns in the last 3 games. He scored 3 straight games in a row at plus 222 for the favorited team, expected to score more points than those Falcons. Yeah, at plus 222, I like it a lot. That would be my favorite longer odds play in this game. All right, we got the Bears and Cincy. We also still have on tap Jags, Raiders, Saints, Rams, Bills, Chiefs, the Seahawks, Commanders, and the Cardinals and the Cowboys. I'm going to breeze through about 3 of those games, take my time on another 3 of them. But before we continue, 9 a.m. Eastern, Sunday morning, tap in, my friends. Ladder bets, parlays, all the degenerate stuff, and a ton of questions and answers, Q&A on the YouTube live show, 9 a.m. Eastern, right here. Turn your cell phone alarms on. You don't want to miss. All right, Bears, Bengals, 51.5-point total. There should be touchdowns to be made here. And the beautiful part is we got some decent touchdown odds in this game. Looks like we got no Swift this week's. With Monange taking over at running back. He's looked pretty good. -140. I don't know if I can lean on that, though. My apologies if I obliterated the enunciation of his name. Jamar Chase, 19 targets, 24 targets. Doesn't matter how many he gets, my man. Led the NFL in receiving touchdowns last year. If he's going to get that many targets, yeah, I think he's a fine option. And again, there was other wide receivers like Amon-Ra St. Brown, -116 he was for the Lions. It's like, yes, better team, better quarterback, better offense. But my gosh, the target equity that Jamar Chase is getting, you're giving him almost 20 chances per game to catch the football and make a play as the best playmaker in the NFL at the position. 20 chances. Yeah, I got to take a swing at that one. -118, I'm fine with. Chase Brown scored 2 touchdowns last week. I just don't like +103. And maybe I should with a 51.5-point total, but I don't. That's on me, I guess. T. Higgins, I actually prefer more here. He has scored in 2 of the 3 games with Joe Flacco. And I think there's an opportunity here for him to score another. 51.5-point total is no joke, my friends. There's a lot of touchdown equity in this game. And on top of that, he only had 2 targets, one of them being that 44-yard touchdown catch. If they're like, all right, we got to even things out, maybe take away 5 or 6 from, Jamar Chase, and he gets 15 targets. Oh, what a bad week. And then T. Higgins on the other side finally gets up to 6 to 8 again, like he had with the first couple games of Flacco. Then I do like the +121 in a game that continues to be shootout scenarios with the Cincinnati Bengals and a 51.5-point total. Yeah, I don't mind it. Rome Odunze started the season off super hot. Scored in the first 4 games of the year, and since then has not scored in the last 3. I think he could get back there in the touchdown column. It's kind of wild, with all of these different players and a 51.5-point total, you'd think I'd have more picks. I just don't. I don't think this is the best game. Not that there's not some good options. There are. I think Odunze's fine. T. Higgins is fine. Jamar Chase is fine. Chase Brown is fine. Even Monange is fine. But because they seem to be the only players to score touchdowns on either team, you're essentially paying a premium for the price, if that makes sense. Other teams are getting +160s for Ladd McConkey, who has scored in 3 straight games, things like that. I think it's 3 straight. 3 of the last 4, it's around there. Well, hopefully the concept is getting across. Sometimes the juice just isn't worth the squeeze, and this might be one of those games. All right, let's get this one out of the way. I told you I was going to take my time on some games, breeze through other ones. Jags, Raiders, can we skip it? Oh my goodness. I know you're sitting here waiting for it, so I guess I'll try. Brock Bowers, +183. Jaunty gets an opportunity at +107. Call it a day. That's all I care about right now. Bang, bang. Give me the home team. Give me the 2 best players on their team. No more, no less. Let's move on. We made it. Actually, we didn't. Let's get this other one out of the way and then talk about the Chiefs and Bills. We got to get to it. We got to get through it. It's the Saints and it's the Rams. 44.5-point total. Rams, 14.5-point home favorites. This one's gross. Lines are nuked everywhere. Kyron Williams, -160. Here's what I can do with that. You could take that, pair it with the Rams money line, and let's see what it looks like. -871. This is stupid. I don't think this is going to be worth either. A -130. Oh my goodness. My friends, I don't know what to do with this game. Disgusting odds. Puka Nacua does return, but he's a -125. Devontae Adams +101, I suppose. Blake Cora maybe gets a garbage time touchdown +277. Might be the worst game on the entire slate to target. I suppose Kyron and the Rams -130 and just walk away. Good luck with it. I don't care enough. There's too many good games to talk about, including the marquee matchup of the week. Let's get to it right now. And really quick, haven't mentioned it yet, but the VIP link down below is sitting there for you. I got graphics on both sides of me right now showing you what my donuts picks profit has been, units wise. Take a quick look at that. and also what the donuts models profit-wise has been for NBA and NFL. For the NFL stats that you see on the screen, that's over 8 weeks so far, 8 Sundays and some primetime games there. For NBA, that's over the first 10 days of the season. We're talking about over 20 units profit in 10 days. You get about 5 or so official picks per day from the model and mine. That's a very easy volume to tail. And you get a similar amount this week for NFL as well. That VIP link is down there, talking over 40 units of profit for both sports from me alone. And after you sign up, you get access to more staff inside Discord if you want it. That's just a bonus thing that you receive via that link. All right, my friends, let's get to the Bills. Let's get to the Chiefs. I'm going to try hard not to let my bias of the Buffalo Bills, as you see Diggs back there. I freaking love that photo, and I miss Stephon Diggs for the Bills. 52.5-point total, 1.5-point spread. Elite playmakers everywhere on this field for the Chiefs, and 1 for the Bills. 2, James Cook. Let's take a look at all the odds for the game. I'm telling you right now, if James Cook scores, I love the idea of parlaying him with the Bills' money line. Now, I think a lot of this is correlated here. If the Bills' offense is humming along and James Cook scores, they had a good chance of winning the game. He has scored a touchdown now in 15 of 18 Bills wins. That's a nice little parlay. Now, I talked about this a lot in yesterday's video as well, the player props video. I spent, I think, like a good 7 or 8 minutes on this game for betting. So make sure you go watch yesterday's video after this one. I'm telling you, I'm going to link it on the screen at the very end of this video where you can go watch the Chiefs and Bills analysis for player props. There was a ton. And a lot of it had to do with Josh Allen and his stats against the Chiefs compared to Patrick Mahomes. Eye-opening for a lot of people. You might not realize just how good Josh Allen has been against the Chiefs on a historic level in the playoffs, too. Anyways, go watch that video. And because of that, I like Josh Allen props this week. Touchdowns included. Not bad. Plus 107, my friends. So Rashee Rice keeps scoring. I don't like that it's a minus 104. Kareem Hunt plus 107 I'd almost rather have because there's no Isaiah Pacheco. And we've seen in previous, I guess last year, when there was no Pacheco, Kareem Hunt would often get 20-plus touches. And hey, he's had a lot of red zone equity this week or this season. These are all fine options because I do think this is going to be a higher scoring game. If you go a little bit longer odds, I think Dalton Kincaid plus 245 would be my next favorite for the long odds, or Xavier Worthy plus 192. Now, again, I spent so much time in yesterday's video talking about this game, 7 or 8 minutes. In today's video, I just want to tell you, this is probably the game of the week. If this were on Sunday night, if they flex this into Sunday night, I think we have probably the most views on any given NFL game of the season for this game. I don't know why it's not a Sunday night football game or a Monday night football game. It's the two favorites of the AFC coming into the season going head to head. As it stands, that 425 game is going to be electric. I cannot wait to watch it. I will have some bets for it. There's no doubt about it. I can't wait for it. I hope you watch it. I hope it's going to be a fun one for you. And I hope that it's like a 38-35 Bills win and all your overs cash for this game. It's hard to bet unders on this game. It really is. All right, Seahawks Commanders Sunday Night Football, 48.5-point total. JSN, Jackson Smith-Njigba continues to score touchdowns, and now his odds are at minus 112. Zach Charbonnet, plus 113. Been banging away at this one all season. Continue to tell people he is the red zone option, and he continues to score. We cashed him, even right here in this video, like 3 or 4 times this year, over plus 200 odds, and now the odds are all the way down to a plus 113. He's got 5 touchdowns this year in 6 games. He's scored in 4 of 6, and he continues to get the lion's share of the red zone opportunities. Averages 3.5 red zone carries per game, almost 1.5 higher than Kenneth Walker. And Walker has not scored since the 2nd game of the year. So I really like the plus 113. My favorite long odds touchdown of the week usually is Zach Ertz for the Commanders. AJ Barner's name has even made it in there for the Seahawks. Both are doing pretty well with touchdowns. Ertz has 4 on the year. But honestly, last week I called it, and I'm doing it again. It's Jaden Daniels. My man did have 7 rushing touchdowns last season. He got 1 last week as well. And I think that he's going to be relied upon at this point in the season. If he's healthy enough now. He's had 12 days to rest since that Dallas game. His knee's doing well. I think he's an interesting play to score a touchdown. And I think what kind of makes me feel like he's totally fine are his lines. When you look at his rushing yards line and his rush attempt line, rush attempts at 7.5, rushing yards at 40.5. You look at his pass attempts, 32.5. Like everything is high. So I suppose that's a nice play. I just wish that Zach Ertz were still up here around plus 200 for touchdown odds. I don't think this is an easy game by any means. And for Monday Night Football with the Dallas Cowboys, I'm going to be honest with you. I freaking love this game for betting purposes. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to keep it exclusive. Monday, 9 a.m. Eastern. So Sunday morning, 9 a.m. and Monday morning, 9 a.m. Eastern for the live shows. But that Monday morning one here on YouTube, dedicated to a little bit of NBA talk, of course, but mostly Monday Night Football betting on that 9 a.m. show. Hopefully you've enjoyed this show. I tried to be extremely focused, just like Friday's 40-minute video. Picks on top of picks on top of picks. Insight, analysis, research, as much info as I could give you. I dialed back the entertainment factor, and I'm just trying to be a value here for sports bettors. If it's a lot and you're like, man, I just need some focused picks, and you saw the plus 40 units over 8 weeks of NFL and 10 days of NBA, well, then that VIP link's down below. Regardless, I hope to see you back at 9 a.m. Eastern, Sunday and Monday. Have yourselves a wonderful day, my friends. Let's get paid.